today I wanted to focus on the issues surrounding getting a diagnosis for a mental health condition, and in particular looking at self-diagnosis, because there are a lot of arguments for and against for that. It's pretty self-explanatory. Self-diagnosis is simply diagnosing yourself with a medical condition. All you have to do is look at over-the-counter drugs to realise that we all self-diagnose without thinking about it. For things like headaches when we're buying paracetamol, or a cold when you're buying Lemsip, that's all self-diagnosed, and we are trusted with diagnosing ourselves with those things. But when it comes to mental health conditions, things get a bit more complicated. With mental health problems, you are the only one who knows what you're feeling, so you're the only person who can describe your symptoms, so it may be logical to completely skip the doctor out and just diagnose yourself. But then how do you get support and how do you get help for the problem that you think you've got? With self-diagnosis, there's always the problem of misdiagnosing yourself, so giving yourself a diagnosis when you don't actually have the condition. But when it comes to mental health, I think it can get a lot more severe. For example, someone might be completely in denial of certain symptoms, which could lead to an underdiagnosis. Or you could give yourself an overdiagnosis thinking there's a lot more wrong with you than there actually is, and that can be completely detrimental to your health just on its own. It's always difficult to look at your own symptoms objectively, but that becomes especially difficult when loads of other stuff's going on up here and you can't think straight. Also, this is a very extreme example, but I have read that some brain tumours can lead to a change in personality and even major depression. Although you may be diagnosing yourself with depression or a mood disorder, it may end up that there's another underlying cause of that, which you may not even consider. So there are a lot of advantages to seeking professional help, but at the same time it's not always possible for everyone. In countries where there isn't free healthcare, doctors' fees can be extortionate, and going to a doctor simply isn't possible for so many people. When you've got depression, I can't really speak for any other conditions. Everything in your body is trying to destroy you in any way possible. So your whole body is telling you, you shouldn't go and get help, you shouldn't go and get help, you shouldn't go and get help. And a problem, especially amongst young people, is telling their parents, because they need their parents to book the appointment for them. So yes, there are a lot of reasons why people can't go to the doctors, and therefore self-diagnosis is the next best thing. For a year or two before I went to the doctor, I spent my free time obsessing over the self-diagnosis questionnaires online. Well, everyone I took, it always said there was something wrong with me, but it never actually encouraged me to go and get help. In fact, it just worried me more about the whole prospect of there being something wrong with me and me not being able to do anything about it. But when I did go to the doctor, she came to the same conclusion as all the websites within 5 minutes. It didn't need to take 2 years. Because mental health problems are always unseen and there's such a huge stigma surrounding them, when you do go to the doctor, it can sometimes be difficult to get a diagnosis. And quite often people look for physical evidence of a mental health problem, for example self-harm scars, in order to validate someone else's feelings, and that's not how it should work. That's not how it should work at all, especially for a doctor. Being a teenager, it can often be brushed off as growing up, hormones, being overdramatic, looking for attention. And being a woman, well, women are emotional, they're overdramatic, they want a bit of attention. They don't really know what they're doing, do they, women? So it can often be quite difficult for a woman to get a diagnosis for a mental health condition, despite the fact that women are 40% more likely to develop a mental illness over their lifetime, and major depression is twice as common in women. If you've been through the whole process and seen a doctor and they've told you that there's nothing wrong with you, but you know deep down that something is, then change doctor, try again, because it's not fair to get denied treatment just because of a stereotype against your gender. I'm really not sure where I stand on the self-diagnosis front, because I've seen a bit of both sides, I've experienced a bit of both sides, and I can see the benefits and the negatives of both. Making this video has helped me open my eyes a bit more to that, I think. That is everything for today, and I will see you tomorrow.